Should I make music my job? That's one of the biggest questions we have to decide on as we're going into music from the very beginning. You know, if you want to make it a hobby, perfect. But if you really want to take it into a career, there are some things you have to consider. Before I share my personal thoughts, I want to let you know that there is absolutely no pressure to do so, to have to transition from, doing music for fun into doing it as a career. Usually there are different things that push us, like our environment, our cultural upbringing, our parents, our friends, whatever. They can have an influence on our career path. But if you're making music for yourself, or really doing any hobby for that matter, you should really feel no pressure to make that jump into the career if that's what you really, really want. So that being said, my personal recommendation would be for you to not turn it into a full-time career if you can help it. Generally, we get into music because we enjoy making music, right? And we want to have a form of personal expression that we can turn to anytime we need that creative output. But what happens when you turn it into a creative field or into a creative career is that when you start to have those deadlines and you start to create projects for yourself that start to add up over time, it starts to turn into a chore and it makes music actually feel like work. And if we don't manage that properly, it's very easy for us to start resenting the art and start resenting the craft and actually lose motivation. It almost becomes something like you have to do rather than something you want to do. And that's a piece of advice my piano teacher gave me when I was in the latter stages of high school. I was considering what field to go into. She sat me down and she literally told me, do not go into music unless you really, really have to do it. Like if you're thinking about music 24/7 and it's something you feel like you absolutely have to do, then do it. But music is one of those fields where nothing is really secure, and it's better to go with a safer option if you can. And I tend to agree with that because, there are fields and places in music where you can earn a respectable living from it, but usually that takes years and years of commitment and continued output. And honestly, that can take a toll on a lot of people. It's really not for everyone. To use myself as a personal example, I'm in a blessed position because the work I do, mainly content creation for my YouTube channel, allows me to free up more time to create the music I want to create. So if you know me, if you followed me for any length of time, you know that I don't usually have to write music for a living. When I take on projects, it's usually because I want to take on those projects. I'm passionate about them, and they're things I really want to do. But the content creation, the videos, the courses, they've allowed me to still talk about music, but just in a different way, right? Like I'm not really writing music every single day, but I'm more talking about music, my thoughts about music, my passion for music, and that requires a different part of my brain compared to just sitting down and writing every single moment of every day. If you are committed to making music your career though, there is one thing I would recommend, and that is to think about three elements when it comes to taking a job or leaving that job. And the number one thing is your personal enjoyment. So would you really see yourself enjoying working on that project? If you wouldn't, then maybe it's not worth the time and the effort, right? Because naturally, if you get into music, you want to work in music, then you want to enjoy that process. So enjoyment is the first thing I would personally consider when you're thinking about taking on a project or not. The second thing would be the actual monetary compensation. So if you're paid for it, then obviously that's wonderful because that helps with your living expenses. But if not, then it really does come back down to the first one of enjoyment. Is it really worth your time if it's not something that you're not even going to enjoy, let alone not being paid for? The third thing would be the career advancement. So does this gig advance your career in a certain way? Even let's say if you're not getting paid for it, but you would enjoy that project and it would advance your career a little bit, then maybe it's worth doing. I would personally recommend aiming to get 2 out of those 3 checkboxes checked before taking on a project. So maybe let's say you have a project come up that you think you would enjoy and it pays well, but it doesn't really further your career. Well, I would still do it because it checks 2 of those 3 boxes. Maybe it pays well and it furthers your career, but maybe you wouldn't necessarily enjoy it as much. So you can do that project, but you have the money and your career is advanced a little bit. And maybe it's not a paid project, but you would enjoy the project and it advances your career. Maybe it's worth taking on as well. When those 3 elements all merge together, it's a beautiful thing. And for me, an example was when I worked with Tina Guo. So I saw a post on her Facebook page. She was looking for a MIDI orchestrator. She was looking for email submissions. And funny enough, just like a week or 2 before that post, I had actually released a new piece of music that I was pretty proud of. And so I reached out to Tina, I sent her my piece of music, she enjoyed listening to it, and that's kind of how we got connected. And so it also helps that I had done a couple of reviews for her sample libraries from Cinesamples before, so she kind of knew me from those videos. But yeah, like when I sent her my piece of music, we started working together. That was a beautiful process. And so she paid me for that project, which I really appreciated. I really enjoyed it because I knew it was a sort of a style of music that I enjoyed working in, and And it also furthered my career because it gave me sort of that credibility that I could say, like, I worked with Tina, I worked with these other people. And so that was a situation where it ticked all 3 boxes and it came out really, really well. So all that to say, don't force yourself to make music a career if you can help it. I think it's very, very wise to be able to separate your hobby in writing music versus, writing music as a profession if that's something you really have to do. In fact, I think a lot of people get enjoyment from their hobbies, especially if those are not connected to their actual work, right? Like some of the best musicians, they write music just simply when they want to, or they're inspired to, but they're not forced to write music on a regular basis, because you can basically tell, or you can anticipate how that might burn you out. If you're like forced to have to write ideas every single day to meet certain deadlines and projects, you start to lose that love for music. And I've known that for a lot of my peers, my friends. But I also do have friends who really thrive on that deadline. They really love to work every single day. It gets them going. It makes them feel really excited. And I have nothing but respect for those people as well. And they're my friends too. So it just shows that it's not for everyone. But if it's something you really want to do, then make sure you're doing it for the right reason, because you absolutely can't live without music. And you think, okay, well, I might as well make it a career if I really want to be working on music every day and I don't mind the pressure, I don't mind those deadlines, then it might be the right choice for me. And of course, keep in mind those 3 elements. Try to find gigs that tick 2 of the 3 boxes, if not all 3, of enjoyment, monetary compensation like money, and career advancement. If this resonated with you in any way, please let me know down below. I would love to hear from you what maybe 1 or 2 takeaways you got from this video. Let me know down below and I can help you there as well and just cheer for you overall. If you are just starting out and you want my complete start to finish process for going from the initial idea to the polished final master, I would love to give you complete access to my free workshop called the Complete Composer's Framework. And it's basically an on-demand training that you can watch anytime that, again, goes through step-by-step of the complete music making process. I've also thrown in my virtual orchestration roadmap so you know how I approach every single one of my mockups. It's just a super valuable workshop that you can check out anytime, and it's my thank you for checking out this video today. If you want to see my orchestration process in real time, I would highly recommend you check out this video right here where I write a session for strings from start to finish using my sample libraries. I walk through step-by-step how to think about sample libraries, string samples, voice leading, all that stuff, and how to create a musical natural result from that. I'll see you there.